Let's take a look at how we can asynchronously upload data with the WebClient class. So what I've got here is a Silverlight application, uploads, and a website. I've done a couple of things with my website. So firstly, I've set my website so it listens on a port 32767, and the virtual path is called uploads web. And I've also written a little handler, so just an ASSH handler. And if you have a look at that, what it's doing is in the process request, it simply takes any input stream, it reads all of it, and then I have a breakpoint so that we can have a look at the request data. So it's a dummy handler, it doesn't really do anything, but we get the data that's been sent to it. I've also started building a tiny piece of UI in my XAML, in my Silverlight application. All we have is a button with the word upload on it, and we have a piece of text there right now on a text block. So here we have a text block that says not set. So that's all we've got right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and handle the click event on our button. We'll say click equals on click. Let's jump to the code behind this. Let's write that event handler on click. And what we'll do here is we'll create a web client. We'll call that client. And what we want to do is upload something with this. So I'm going to handle a couple of events. We'll handle upload string completed. We'll say on upload completed. And just throw in that handler. Let's get rid of this long code here. And let's also say upload progress changed plus equals on progress, on progress changed. And once again, let's get rid of that big long piece of code. So we're handling those two things, and in the progress changed event for the minute, I'm just going to say text status dot text equals string dot format, and we can say percentage is. And from that event args, we can see things like the total bytes to receive or send, and we get a progress percentage, so we'll use the progress percentage. For the minute, I won't do anything in on upload completed, and you'll see why in a second. What I'll also do is then go and initiate an upload, so we'll say client dot upload string async. We'll give it a URI, so that's a URI http localhost 32767/ uploads web /handler.ashux, and that is a absolute URI. And we'll also give it the data, so let's say hello world, something like that. And actually we can also provide, let's do it this way, the method. So I'm going to use http post, and the data is hello world. Now you might be thinking you can use HTTP put or HTTP delete. They don't seem to be supported as verbs in the beta 2, but you can certainly use HTTP post. So what we're expecting to see is we start this upload, we get some progress changed, and we should also see some interaction on the server side. So let's make sure on the server side we've got a breakpoint. We do. Let's press F5. Let's see what happens. And we get our UI, we click our button, and we see over on the server side that we've got some request data for hello world, and we press F5, and we see that our progress percentage has reported 50%. So this is the last progress we got through. What we really need to do is go back and make sure that in the client side code, when the upload completes, we set text status.text to be completed or something like that. And then if we press F5 again, we should see that as we upload this time, let's go and upload. We see the server again getting hello world. We press F5. The client side, we've completed our upload. So this is one way of uploading some data. Let's look at a different way. Let's go back to the client side code. And let's use a different method, because we might not always have a string we want to upload. We might have a stream of data that we want to upload. I'm going to remove these event handlers because they won't fire for what I'm going to do here. Let's get rid of those and the code down here. And let's get ourselves something like a file that we're going to send from the client to the server. So we'll open up a file dialog. So let's say open file dialog. Let's create one of those. And we'll say if dialog.showDialog equals true, then let's go ahead and do the upload that we were doing before. So instead of using upload string now, what I'm going to do is do client.openWriteAsync. In order to use that, we need to handle the openWrite completed event. So let's handle that. Let's say on openWrite. Let's just shorten down that piece of code so you can see it a little bit better. And then what we're going to do is say client.openWriteAsync. We give it a URI, which we've already got on this line of code here. So we give it that URI. Having given it a URI, we give it a method which can be post again. And conveniently, let's just line that up, we can pass a third parameter which is a user token. So the token I'm going to pass across there is the stream that I get from the open file dialog, i.e. my input file. So I'll say dialog.selectedFile.openRead. That gives me a stream. So what we're doing, of course, open write async. We're going to call over here. We're going to pass the results of opening the file for read. So what that means is that over here we get a stream. We'll call it input stream, which is going to be e.userState as stream. And then the other thing we want is the output stream, the network stream that we're going to write the data in. So that's the output stream, and that's going to be e.result. Now notice we should be checking e.error as well, but let's assume that all goes well and we'll get the result. So what we've done now is open this for an async post, and then we're going to write the data from the input stream to the output stream. So let's just go ahead and say, we'll use something like a simple buffer or something. So let's say byte buffer equals new byte. Let's say 1024.4096, perhaps it's a bit bigger, isn't it? Let's do that. And let's say int bytes read equals 0. And let's then say while bytes read equals input stream dot read. Let's read the buffer from 0, and we want buffer.length. And while that is bigger than 0, then we would keep reading. And what we want to then do is write to the output stream from the buffer, no offset, and the number of bytes that we just read. And then at the end of all this, what we want to do is output stream.close, input stream.close, and hopefully we've written the file that we've just read out to the output stream. Let's build that code. Let's press F5. Let's use the button to open the file dialog. On my desktop, I've got a little file here, foo.txt. Let's open that up. Here we are on the server side again, getting the request data, and that is the contents of foo.txt. Let's press F5, and so we've written that file asynchronously from the client up to the server, just using that code that we just saw there. So essentially the crux of that is that we can have open write completed, then we use open write async. That gives you a stream in this result member to write your data across the network using a post, and in this case what we chose to write across the network was the contents of a text file, and so it's simple as that really. And so essentially, hopefully you can see there's a couple of ways of doing asynchronous posts using the WebClient class. Of course we can also use this for asynchronous gets, but we showed that in a different video. We have the option to upload a string and get progress notification, or we have the option to do this open write and get a stream. You don't get the progress notification, but you get the more flexible way of just writing anything into a stream rather than having to start off with a string. So you've got those two options in order to post data up to a server asynchronously if you're working with the WebClient class.